Hey guys, welcome to the Stitch Sessions. I'm really delighted to have a special guest with me today. I have Sir Phillip, also affectionately known as Uncle Phil, on the show with us today. He is a filmmaker, writer, producer, and creative extraordinaire. So I'm really delighted to have him here. He's super busy, and this is the first time we're going to get to really chat and dive in.
Yeah.
So grab a cup of coffee. We've got some cookies here as well, a work in progress. And it's so nice that you guys are going to come and hang out with us. So let's get to it. Crochet 101. So that's the first reaction that most people have, yes. Okay, so yeah, you always yarn over and then pull it through. Yes. And sometimes there's quite a few expletives that escape during this portion of the lesson, and that is totally understandable. So yeah, we'll see how many you can do.
So far, I'm at 1, and I'm not confident there's going to be
no.
more.
So, I always say like, we could do like 10. So this one is just going to be learning the stitch and then doing a little something to practice. And then if you really get excited, you can just stop and have a cookie, and that's okay too.
Okay, so it goes over like this.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to be able to do this one-handed yet. And then this has got to come over this.
Yeah.
I know this is not good technique.
That is amazing technique. We're getting the job done right now.
And then, right?
I think you just pulled it through, yeah. So you've done your second one.
Are they supposed to be like tight? Or
well, you actually want to keep them kind of relaxed. So see how it's a little bit braided.
Mine are a little bit tight.
Yeah.
Got it.
So you do that. And I am going to continue on with my project, which is going to be in next week's tutorial. And wait till you see what this is going to be. In the meantime, I want to delve in, and this is really, I don't know how many years we've known each other now, a long time.
Yeah.
But we've never had a chance to really sit down and shoot the breeze, and I want to know, tell me all of the things you do. I know that's a huge question, but what I mean by that is, I know many times Sarah's tried to explain to me like the different artistic endeavors you do. So your main love is filmmaking, or is it in the writing, or is it the editing, or all of the above? Like what is it, and what are the current projects that you're working? I know I just loaded it on
it's
him.
Fine. Yeah, it's fine. I'm sure she can't explain it to you because I have a hard time explaining it as well. Yeah. So like I started doing like film, like short films and stuff, writing and directing, and then so that's kind of like the main kind of career path.
So, okay, sorry, let me back you up. How did you get into this? Like, what happened that first time that switch went off and you went, oh yeah, this is my thing, I really like this?
I think what it was like I was always into, movies and stuff when I was a kid and in high school, but I didn't really, see it as like a career or anything like that. There's nobody in our family who's like arts industry.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty much everyone's a teacher.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Literally everyone. So when I went to U of T just for a BA.
Yeah.
And like it's a good school in terms of like all the courses are good, but there's not a lot of like social scene. I didn't really love the experience there. And I was there with one of my good buddies, Kevin, who.
So what was so was it a general BA, like was it humanities?
Yeah.
Arts?
So okay. So I was in humanities. I mean, you have to take like breadth courses, like a couple science courses and stuff like that. But yeah, it was humanities. Okay. So like my mate, I definitely screwed something up here. I'm just making knots.
Yeah, I think that one of your loops was a bit too wide.
But yeah, so like my major was like history.
Okay.
Like, political science and so I did cinema studies as a minor.
And that's
sort of. I mean, at U of T, like the film courses, there's no like practical stuff. Like you don't learn to write or pick up a camera or do any of that kind of stuff. It's all history and theory.
Which is interesting. Would you say U of T is a bit more of a
It's just academics.
Academics, yeah. It's not like maybe a Ryerson or something, or even a Sheridan, which is very
you do none of that.
artistic.
How do I back this up here if I can do this? I need to go back several steps, I think.
You know what you can do is you can go. Boop.
Okay, perfect.
Oh,
I'm not doing well.
or do that, and here I'll help you a little bit. I'll create the first. So that one can be tight.
Okay.
So what we try to do is hold this here, and then I kind of secure it here.
Mm-hmm.
And see how I keep this one kind of loose?
Right. Yeah, so it's all like history and theory stuff. Is this correct?
It is!
Yes. Okay.
All right. Now we're rolling.
Yeah. Okay, break time.
Yeah. So when you took a couple of those, they were
it's all
cinema courses?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all cinema. So it's like there's a lot of history, there's a lot, which is all interesting. A lot of theory.
I
all of
took
which
a couple of those
has been helpful later, but
yeah.
You don't like learn anything about like, how movies work or how they're made or anything like that. But
so what point did it kind of tickle your interest to dive a little deeper?
Well, I mean, it was always something that was interesting, but what really happened was I was there with my friend Kevin, who was also like, we would always talk movies and stuff. Well, I went to high school with him and everything. But he was a lot more serious at that point about wanting to do something in the film industry because his dad was his dad was like the head of like the documentary department at CBC for like 30 years. Like, so it's a little bit more
cool.
Yeah, it's a little bit more like
in
viable
it.
of a
Right.
Anyway, we both kind of just didn't really enjoy the U of T experience that much, so we were kind of both just like, screw this. Let's just do what we want. Let's just figure out a career path. We'll sort it out later. So basically, at that point, we were like, all right, let's just kind of start self-learning. So there was a bunch of workshops at U of T, like not affiliated with the degrees or anything.
Oh, okay.
So we started doing that.
What was the very first thing you took?
I think the very first thing was just a general like film workshop where it was like, from writing to editing, like what does the process look like?
The general process.
Yeah, and then I think the second one, which was really, I guess, the more important one, was it was just an editing course. And again, these are like 3 hours on a Saturday, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
Not
but your main thing, your main interest was always the production or the creating of it, as opposed to like some people who like the idea of being the talent, being in front of the camera, being the actor. I mean, I know you've done some stuff in front of the camera.
For sure, I don't like it.
Okay.
Which is interesting because the last project we worked on was a web series where actually Kevin and I were both the leads in it. So it's heavily. Anyway. I had to get like permitted by the union and all that kind of fun stuff.
Oh, by the way, and you have a website, right?
Yeah, so...
Which is?
It's thunderdungeon.com.
Okay, great.
I'll get into that after, because that's a whole another answer to what the
got it.
Question.
Oh, I love this. Okay, continue.
Yeah, so at that point so I was always interested in writing and directing. Like I didn't want to be on camera, and I didn't want to just be like crew, because you could do that forever. Like you could be like a grip, or like the guys that do the lighting or electrical, or but you don't really have any like creative input. Well, that's not fair. You have creative input, but like it's not your project necessarily.
I hear you. Although those guys probably get steady work.
Oh, that's the thing. They're the ones that make all the money.
Oh, that's good to know.
Absolutely, yeah. So then we basically, Kevin and I like made like some shitty student short films and stuff like that, and sort of just kind of like over the years kept making stuff and learning and getting real jobs in the industry as we went to like learn. And I did some.
So what were some real jobs in the industry?
I PA'd for a little while on like music videos, which like being a PA it's.
Okay, like, tell me more. I'm dying to hear these kind of stories.
Like the hours are like brutal. I remember we did.
Are you basically just there, like
you're doing whatever? I mean,
and
on big
you're
budget,
on call for whatever.
On big budget productions, like each department will have their own PAs that are dedicated to like the wardrobe PAs or the makeup PAs or they're helping.
So they're basically just designed like their go-to. Like I need this, grab this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Essentially, and then
how does one apply for a job like that?
I mean, as long as you like, if you know a production manager or a coordinator, then because like you don't need a lot of special skills to be a PA, but to a point. I mean, when you're specializing in a department, like a PA that knows how to, set up the grip stands properly and how to carry the men's cases without breaking anything. And
yeah, that's
so
important.
There's lots of levels of PA. Like there's just the people that work as like runners or drivers or schleppers or whatever.
Got it.
But then there are like a lot of specialties.
Mm-hmm.
But like the hours are brutal. You get yelled at all day. film sets can be kind of brutal because like you're spending someone else's money and there's never enough time or money.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's definitely time constraints and you got to get it done.
So
and
everyone's super stressed out and like I don't want to be.
Doesn't sound like fun.
I don't enjoy set life enough to do that kind of stuff because it's like, why do I want to get yelled at by people all day that are like, screaming at me for some music video of some artist that I've never heard of.
Right.
But like you learn a lot. Like the more you do on set, the more you learn. That's helped me a lot. Like learning to edit and learning to like be on set and like what all the jobs are has helped me a lot as a director because you know how to talk to people. Like you know what their jobs are, so you can communicate what you need better.
Yeah, and it gives you the idea of where this is all coming from as you do your part of the job.
Totally, yeah. So
I think that's good.
You find, I mean, the thing with like being a director especially is people come from all kinds of backgrounds, whether it's like really technical backgrounds, so they've learned how to edit, or just super creative people that know story. So they're really all over the map. But I always found that like, because I'm more of the creative side and less on the technical side, but learning the broad strokes of like what the camera team is doing and what all the departments are doing, it helps you communicate with them and like they'll appreciate it a lot because you can actually ask for what you want instead of being vaguely. Like,
it's basically
make this look better.
It's basically learning how to communicate with people in the most effective way towards that particular person, because and I've learned this over 23 years of teaching dance, is there is not just one formula of disseminating information.
Exactly.
Because different people take in information differently, different people feel differently about how you deliver the information. So very interesting.
It also gives you an appreciation. Like there's directors that are notoriously huge assholes on set, and like that's fine, but you better be really good. And like when you're working in if you're working on like a short film that I wrote, like I'm not gonna be you want to have like a good set experience. So it's also helpful like appreciating if you've done the jobs that everyone's done to some capacity, which you normally do if you're doing low budget stuff, because like often you don't have enough crew and you're wearing a lot of hats.
Got it.
It gives you an appreciation, so you're not like screaming at people, because like I actually get your job is really freaking hard.
Well, and isn't that saying like you catch more flies with honey than vinegar? Kind of thing?
It works for some people, but like I don't know. I always feel like that is unnecessary.
I agree. So what is your favorite aspect of storytelling, I guess I would call it?
I got pretty mainstream taste. Like I like a lot of classic movies and like old Hollywood and stuff.
Oh, okay, cool. Me too.
Yeah.
But what I was really wanting to know is, so is it the creating the story, like the writing process, the actual hands-on, like being in the moment that the story is being created, like with the actors, it's editing, what's your favorite? It's
kind of everything. I mean, like the writing is what I've got to do the most, because you can sit at home on your computer and write, and it doesn't require you getting a bunch of money from somebody to put production together.
Yeah.
So that part's always, it kind of starts, that's the most exciting. And then I really like working with actors. And so like when I do a short film or a web series or anything, I like to make sure that like rehearsal is a big part of it, because A, it makes your day a lot easier, but B, like that's some of the most fun stuff is like working out the scene.
So directing is the fun part.
For sure.
Like one of your favorites.
It's all good.
Well, especially when it's your own project, because you do get a certain level of control of the situation and
for
the
sure.
day
And you get to see like if you've written something and you're directing it, you get to see it, come to life. And I also, for me, the thing I like the most about the industry is how collaborative it is. I mean, everyone from top to bottom contributes something.
Yeah.
And it'll be something I wrote, and I'm still figuring out what exactly it is I wrote with the actors, and they contribute a lot to the story.
Yeah.
And like, that's like the actor's going to know their character more than the writer will, because they spend all their time figuring out the character. And,
that makes sense.
So like the leading up to production is often the most fun, because you're working through all those story beats and figuring out what the actual thing is about.
So is it mostly short films that you've been doing so far?
It's mostly short films, because until you can afford or convince someone to give you enough money to shoot like a feature-length thing, which is the goal.
Of course. Now, what's a typical length of, what constitutes a short film?
Well, I mean, it's basically I would say anything under like 80 or 90 minutes would be considered a short film. But
8 or 9?
80 or 90. So like an average movie is like a full-length movie will be like 90 minutes, 2 hours, right?
Oh.
I'm going to put this on silent.
I thought his pockets were yawning or whatever that sound is. That's hilarious.
That's a weird one.
I'm glad you acknowledged it because I was just going to ignore it. So an 80-minute film is considered a short film.
Well, I mean, it could be that you're getting more into feature territory. I'd say if it's under 75, 80 minutes.
Wow.
But like that now, you know, the longer it is, the more days you got to shoot, the more expensive it's going to be.
For sure.
I also find that like for film festivals, you're kind of shooting yourself unless you're making like a 50 or 60 minute short, which is really closer to like a mini movie.
Wow.
Then you're better off being under 10 minutes because it's easier for film festivals to program it.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you can tell a better story sometimes. Like,
I can see that.
It's tough though. Short films are not my favorite medium to work in. It's just kind of been sort of what I've had to do. We got the opportunity in the fall to shoot a web series, which was 10 like 5 to 7 minute episodes.
Oh,
so
great.
that's been my favorite so far because it's you know, you're telling a full story.
And then you've got like a sequence to carry you through.
Exactly. And it is, you know, once you add up, if you were to put all those episodes together, it basically adds up to like, you know, a 70 whatever minute movie.
So is there any difference between doing, I don't know, like a television series and a web series? Like production wise, is there any real difference?
Well, yeah. Something's up. What do I do here? Get back in here.
Oh, wow, Phil. Ooh, I don't know.
Not
Sarah,
good.
Your brother's giving you a run for your money because these are pretty consistent, actually. Okay.
But now I don't know how to read this. I go back over here.
Yeah.
Like usually web series are just a lot less expensive.
Okay.
Way smaller crews, a lot less money. Stuff online doesn't make nearly as much money as something on like a traditional TV network would, but...
And where is the money coming from? Is it advertisers? Is it grants? Like
both, yeah. So, like usually the production money will be some kind of investment or grant, especially in Canada. There's a lot more of that rather than in the US. You have a lot of private investment.
So, and what kind? Like, how does one expect return on such an investment, especially when you're doing things like web series, or is it just like
really the thing.
I feel like giving to the arts kind
really,
of investment
with web, especially like recouping your money is next to impossible. So a lot of like you know the investment fund that funded our web series, some of it comes from the government, some of it comes from Bell. They're not,
okay. Bell is a big.
Yeah, they're a big supporter.
That's great.
There's a lot of like music video and film grants that they're involved in. And
so obviously you have to apply for it, and what is the type of criteria that they're generally looking for to give you the grant, for example? Like if I go, hey, I'm doing the Stitch Sessions conversations.
I mean, the things, it's always changing.
Okay.
The things that I've noticed recently are you know, they want some kind of Canadian angle. Because if you're applying for Canadian, but that could be as simple as like, you know, the whole creative team's Canadian. Okay. Diversity is a big thing right now, which is great. So like a lot of minority filmmakers, a lot of women, like it's really good for that.
Okay.
And then they're looking at some grants are more interested in what the project is about, but I find often they're really looking more at the creative team. So they're funding the people rather than the project in a lot of senses.
And what is the idea behind that?
Well, just that you know, especially if it's like, you know, Arts Council, for example, there's Ontario, Toronto, and Canada Arts Councils. They're more into developing like the artist than the project itself because they're mandated to develop art in Canada, right?
Right.
So
because a project can kind of go bust, so to speak, but if you've got an artist who's got a lot of potential, they can always just go on just doing other things.
Exactly. So,
okay.
So it's a bit different. I mean, the one that we got, the most recent one that we got, it's more of an investment fund than a grant. But they're aware that
so
they're not going to make their money back. So they want to make their money back, but they probably won't.
Got it. So now you've developed your own. So you've got your own site, so let's segue to that. Okay. Which it's called again.
It's called thunderdungeon.com. And
that sounds very girly.
It's Thunder Dungeon, not very girly. Yeah.
Just kidding. Tell me all about it.
Yeah.
How did this idea come about, and what is it all about?
So basically, it's evolving. It's basically it's a comedy platform. Our biggest audience is on Facebook. We're almost at 2 million.
Wow. Okay. People check it out.
Check it out, and we have our own mobile app and stuff now. But it started basically. My friend Roy started it as it was under a different name then, but he started it as a place to put his stand-up comedy videos rather than just some linking
Okay,
through
I
YouTube
love
and
this.
stuff.
Yeah.
And then it became sort of just like a meme page and like finding funny crap that is floating.
That's
around the
great.
internet.
We all could use a laugh.
Exactly,
Absolutely.
just time wasting stuff. So that's where it started, and then now that we've grown, like we have like our own app platform that we've released, but we're doing.
So do you create your own skits? Is that
We
is
do
that what
some
it
of
is?
it. Some of it's original. Some of it we're trying to do more and more original stuff. Now that we've grown to a size where we actually have like resources and
Right.
attention and stuff like that, the more original stuff you can do, the better, rather than just like amalgamating content from around the
Now
internet.
I have a question about that because I think I was just listening to, I don't know if it was Joe Rogan podcast. It was a podcast. They were talking about how there are sites that are just collect like memes, and it's like, well, who actually owns those?
Exactly.
So how does that work?
So basically, and that's kind of how we started, and a lot of our stuff right now is from that. But
Okay.
basically, what we want to do is there's a lot of people just steal stuff, and we'll chop off people's credits and stuff. We've always tried to be better internet citizens in that. So like we don't monetize anything we don't make. We'll curate stuff based on our humor to be like, well, we spent 4 hours looking around at terrible stuff, and here's the 10 funny things that we thought.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of like you're offering a service in that way. So you're looking through all the BS on the internet to find the best stuff.
Okay.
But what we've done that most sites haven't, and that's why there's been a lot in trouble lately, is we don't monetize anything that we don't create ourselves.
Now, how do you go about monetizing the things you do create, for example?
It's mostly it's all ad supported. So like on our app,
Okay, so
we have
you do
ads on
sell
our app.
advertising. Okay.
Sell advertising, but again, we for example, when we first started our app, like we've left a lot of money on the table by not doing like pop-up ads and video ads. And we're trying to not kind of sell it out, because what we're trying to do is build like a long-term brand. And so we're like 6 years into it now. And so we've got a lot of kind of side projects that are related to it. We've done some animation stuff. We're working on some like physical products and stuff like that. So it's kind of branched off. The nice thing is, because like comedy isn't a specific thing, you can kind of just evolve. So it's
Yeah.
you're not pigeonholed into like being a meme page or being like doing like just skits or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
So. This is a long way to say that. Yeah, explaining what I do is a little bit.
That's
is
so
a little
fascinating.
bit tricky.
So would you say a lot of it now is creating your own original ideas?
More and more, and I mean we try to involve other people. Like there's a lot of comedians in Toronto, for example, that have a lot of good stuff, but they don't have a way to make money off it.
So here's a question for you. So is it YouTube based, or is it directly uploaded to your website, and do you do things like a Patreon type of thing, or not a GoFundMe, but
we've
something like
explored
that?
those. Yeah, we've explored those. We haven't done that. We just haven't really had the need to. Basically, when we do a video now, it would be like doing it on YouTube. So like we picked Facebook over YouTube just because that's where our audience was. So we'll upload them directly to Facebook.
Okay.
Because the way that like Facebook's algorithms work and stuff is like if you're posting a link to a video and it's within their own system, so it's a Facebook video, it's gonna reach more people than if it's a link to another website like YouTube. So
I did hear that.
Yeah, so we generally upload, if it's a video of ours, we generally upload it directly to Facebook, and then on our website and our app, it'll be the Facebook video that gets posted there.
Oh,
that way we don't have to like pay for hosting video and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, right. So when you you have videos on your own website, you have to
someone has to host it, so like either YouTube or, like I said, we use Facebook more than anything.
And do you, because Facebook owns Instagram, do you have that link to that as well? Or?
Yeah. We have Instagram. I think we're at like, we've never put a lot of effort into Instagram in terms of like growing it. Okay. But what we have done is...
Because the two are, you can one can automatically post to the other, right?
But yeah, so what we've done to make our Instagram different than the other people that do similar stuff to us is everything we post on Instagram is original. So... Oh,
that's great.
Yeah, so everything we've made, like, it'll have our watermark on it, which we don't do to stuff that we don't make, which is it's greasy because a lot of websites do that.
What? What do you mean?
A lot of websites, like if they, let's say you make a gallery of 30 memes that you find funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they upload it to their website, they'll put their own watermark on it. So like if it gets shared around, people can see that's where it came from, but that's not where it came from. It came from whoever made it, right?
Ooh,
so
now you're getting into sticky territory.
So these are the things that we've always tried to avoid doing, and it's benefited us because there's been a lot of, in the past, I'd say year, there's been a lot of backlash on the pages and accounts.
Yeah, I've heard. I've been hearing that.
A lot of money because of these kind of practices. So.
And I mean, I know that there is that other side. It's like, well, yeah, I did take 4 hours of my time to collect it all. Without the original creators creating it, you wouldn't have. I mean,
exactly. So there's a value there, but we don't. Yeah. These people have made hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars on that, and that's not enough for that amount of money. There's not enough value there, so we've avoided doing that kind of stuff. I mean, we've left money on the table by not doing that stuff. Yeah. But like I said, we're trying to build.
But you're looking at the long term, which I think is where a lot of people fall short.
Yeah.
Especially in today's day and age of your in the old days it used to be 15 minutes of fame. Now it's like 15 seconds of fame if you're lucky. Yeah. But no, that's really, really good. You've got a level head, and obviously you've got a vision. And it does. You got to be in it for the long haul.
For sure. And I mean, like this, what the platform provides, and we got a lot of things that we're trying to do with it. As we go forward, that are going to hopefully, there's a lot of money to be made. We're trying to solve some internet problems, like some of the stuff I just described.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a process. But the nice thing is, with me, with the film stuff I do, and with Roy with his comedy, is this provides a network for it. So, if we, let's say we didn't find a distributor for our web series, then I could put it on there and get a decent amount of eyeballs onto it because we built this network of a couple million people.
Yeah. So, so where do you go from here?
That's a good question.
Yeah. So are you looking to build this particular platform, or do you want it to branch into something else? Or you're kind of just going with the flow?
You go with the flow a little bit. I mean, it's funny. I have my film goals and my goals for the platform, and sometimes they intersect and sometimes they're separate.
Yeah.
But you can do both, definitely, because I work from home and there's a bunch of hours in the day.
Yeah.
But so we have some long-term plans with the platform, and we want, we'd like to have a production arm once you have the resources. So if we're working with local comedians and posting their stuff, then it would be nice to have the resources to fund their stuff. So if I want to make a web series, I don't have to go and beg for a grant. I can just fund it through my own business and then post it on my own business. So creating a production arm. And
how do you hook up with some of these comedians? Are you going out to seeing shows and stuff like that?
Sometimes Roy, for the stand-up especially, Roy's a bit more connected. But I mean,
I want to go. Sarah and I used to go a lot to see local shows. I mean, until she grew up and became a mommy and all that stuff and all that life stuff. But I'm trying to.
Have you ever tried it?
Well, it's funny you say that. A couple of weeks ago, I did. Second City drop-in improv.
Did you? Nice. How was that?
It was great. I was scared out of my mind because I had tried to convince a few friends to come with me, and they all bailed at the last minute.
Oh, God.
And it's funny, Sarah is the one that said, listen to me, you better not dare back out of this. You go and you have fun because this is something that you like to do. Mm. And I was a theater major in university. Yeah. So, it was terrifying. And for the first time, because, I'm used to being in front of groups of people, I hold workshops and stuff. But for the first time in a long time, I was like, oh, this must be what students feel like when they first come in. And it's terrifying. And you think, oh, everybody else looks like they know what they're doing. They belong here. It ended up being a blast. There was 22 of us.
Oh, wow.
So, but get this. Out of the 22 people that were there, 7 of us were girls.
Oh, wow.
It was mostly guys, which was kind of interesting. But it was such, what was really, really interesting, it was a dynamic group in age range. I thought for sure I was going to be the oldest one there, and definitely not. Mm-hmm. And ethnicities as well. So it was so cool. And everybody was very, giving is not the word, but so... empathetic, I guess, maybe. It's loving. I want to say loving because it was like this group of 22 strangers, and we were all so supportive.
Everyone's fish out of water.
Well, and I guess this is the thing with improv too, right? It's it's all about the greater good of whatever it is you're trying to create. So everybody's so empowering of each other. It was such a great experience. It's just the problem is my schedule, and it's right downtown. So I Ubered it there that day. So to Uber it there and Uber it back, it kind of starts creeping up in cost, and then parking is a pain in the butt. And I know most people are thinking excuses. You can find ways to do things you want to do, but
I
loved it. Yeah. I loved it. But I love the whole. Sometimes I think, because I love stand-up comedy and I love checking out comedians and stuff like that. Sometimes I think, oh, there's tons of stuff. I could get tons of material from teaching dance and stuff like that. But I don't think that I would be cut out for it. It's hard.
I've done it once. It's
hard.
I want to do it again. I mean, I've never really had a problem like public speaking and stuff like that. Although this is not quite the same thing, and it is super nerve-wracking.
No, and the thing is, when you go to see a play, most people go, okay, like people are out there, that's nice. Okay, that was a good effort.
People are there to,
When you are a stand-up comedian, people go in there with the expectations.
You better kill it.
You better make me laugh somehow. And there's nothing worse than going up on a stage when you know there's a certain hardcore expectation of you, and
totally.
And when you bomb, oh my god.
So I've only done it once. I definitely want to do it again. I mean,
where did you do it?
I did it at a couple buddies of mine. They used to run. I don't know if they do it anymore, but they used to run just like I think it was every month at a bar called Shocks in the Junction. They would just do a comedy night.
know that place. Oh, they had the picnic tables outside.
I think so, yeah.
I used to live not far from there. Wow,
so
that's
we
good.
would do it there. I think it was like a once a month thing, and like there's a couple of like the local guys that would do it regularly, but they always had spots if you wanted to.
See, that's what I'd love to see. I'd love to kind of get back into hooking up with the local kind of comedy scene, because even though we're in Toronto, we're in a big city, I find that it's you don't really hear about these places. The Rivoli had
they do. They do it a bunch
for a while. I would
Viper
go to
Lounge
them.
if that's still there.
I'm not familiar with that.
Who
else? The cafe. I think it was on College. What was that place? They also had a lot of open mic nights.
Yeah, and I find like
Good Times Cafe.
Oh yeah. That's right at almost at Spadina there.
Yeah, are they still around?
Yep.
Just goes to show you.
I watched the World Cup there randomly because we were trying to find a bar. It was like in the middle of the day or whatever, and we were a little like the game was like just about to start, so all the local bars were full.
Oh wow!
So just like we need to find somewhere with a TV. So it's like a Jewish restaurant too, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, we had like a Jewish breakfast while watching.
Cool. That's awesome. That's gonna be like your groovy hippie necklace.
I was gonna start
there you go. Or headband.
Yeah.
Make a headband. Yeah. So we're like, are you thinking of jumping into it a little bit more, like on stage or?
Yeah, at some point. I mean, it was so like when I did it that one time. I mean, people generally give me the benefit of doubt. Like people have always kind of thought it was funny.
You are funny.
So,
you've got a little bit more of that dry humor.
Yeah, and like I'm pretty self-deprecating,
which I love. I love that,
and
stuff.
It's disarming, which is helpful. But I mean, I did it the one time. It went really well, but it was a fair amount of people in the crowd. But I also did have like a chunk of friends in the crowd, so it was like it was a friendly crowd,
But it's good the first time or two to have that little support, because then it slowly builds your confidence.
Exactly, yeah. So I mean, I intend to do it again at some point, but it's not really I don't mind public speaking and stuff like that, but like I don't really love being the center of attention, which is why like the acting thing for the web series, that was a freaking
it's so funny that you say that, because a lot of times when I was still playing in bands and stuff a lot more often, we'd hang out at parties and stuff. People were like, oh, can't sing. So here. They'd put a guitar in my hand, and I would literally freeze. I would go completely blank. I don't know how to play this thing. And they're like, you play in bands all the time. And it's like, yeah, but when I'm on stage, it's like I am in that character. I'm in the zone, and I'm kind of prepared for it. When I'm in a social setting, I actually don't want I know people go, that makes no sense. Like, you're such a loud mouth.
I think a lot of artists are like that. Where
but
it's like, this is the zone that I get into, but otherwise...
I actually get embarrassed. It's like all of a sudden all eyes turn to me and I'm like, ugh. Yeah. And everything I know about whatever the creative endeavor it is just leaves me. Mm-hmm. No, even like Twinkle Twinkle on a Star, I could not play it to save my life. So it's like I hate when people do stuff like that, because it's like, for me, when you're on stage, it's almost like there's a controlled, uncontrolled environment. Totally. You know what I mean?
I found that
it's very interesting.
Doing this web series was tough because I'm not very comfortable on camera in general.
So how come you are in front of the camera in this? So
my two buddies wrote. They came up with the idea, and
can you talk about it? Can you,
for sure.
What is the?
So it's just like an Odd Couple thing, but it's based on Kevin and I's relationship of having known each other for like our entire lives, and like the way we act. So the characters in the show, like they're named Kevin and Phil. They're not the characters themselves are not us, but the way they talk to each other is absolutely us.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically like Kevin plays like a DJ who gets house arrest in my house, and I'm like the nerdy.
Do you have any episodes up already?
No, we're almost done the edit now.
Okay, I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, but it's very much just like I'm like the buttoned up,
Yeah.
safe one, and he's like the sex, drugs, rock and roll type.
I love it.
So they came up with the idea because we were also thinking with the diversity stuff I was mentioning, like. We figured that might be a good angle to get something funded because, like, as a bunch of white dudes trying to make stuff, I'm kind of our only diversity play, which is fine. We're fine with it.
But you know what? I also think, I mean, that's great, but they should also look at the fact that, are these great ideas? Are they creative?
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
And they do. Like, I say that flippantly.
Yeah.
But they came up with the idea, and they're like, you're going to hate this because it's, like, you on camera. And I was like, oh, God, I don't really want it. But they wrote, like, a version of the first episode, and then...
But I actually think you would make a great actor.
Well, that's what everybody says, but, like...
Your delivery is great, and...
yeah, I mean, I do hear that. And, like, the thing, having worked... with actors on the other side of things. Like, I have a small understanding of what they do.
Yeah.
But, the nice thing about this was, like I said, the characters themselves are not, like, a massive stretch. I'm working with Kevin, who, I've been living with Kevin for almost a decade. In, like, a couple different apartments, yeah.
You believe that?
Like, I've known him since, my grandma lived next door to his babysitter, so I've met him when we were, like, 2.
Wow. Wait a minute. Okay, so tell me about the Walmart Christmas family photo. Your sister told me a little bit about this. I'm assuming Kevin was in this.
Oh, yeah.
Tell everybody the story. Because
Yeah.
I did see the picture online. I thought, this must have been hilarious for the guy working at the Walmart.
Oh, he was having a great time. It was funny because the guy working there afterwards, when he was getting the photos, like, printed up or whatever, we were talking, because he works in film.
Oh, okay.
And that's, I guess, what he's doing as, like, a money-making job.
Sure.
So he's like a camera guy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, we just, last year we took so there's 5 of us living in the house that I live in, which I know sounds like a frat house, but we're all adults, sort of.
Yeah, and you're all in the industry.
Mostly.
Right?
3 of the 5. 3 of the 5 of us are, yeah.
Was it you guys that turned one of your rooms into kind of like a post-production studio?
Yeah, well, we have a coach house in the back, so it wasn't one of our rooms.
So
like
cool.
Office, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the 5 of us live in the house, and we did a Christmas card last year. We took a photo all up in the back, and then we decided to step up the game this year and go to Walmart and do...
That's awesome.
So we did, like, a bunch of black and white portraits that are up in the house, and then the big...
Yeah, you'll have to give us a link that we'll put below, because it was like, those... it was meant to look like those 1980s or 1990s, like, family Christmas photos.
Totally, yeah. It
was hilarious
classic,
with
like,
the 5 guys,
studio,
right?
Yeah.
It was so
And we took a bunch
funny.
of individual ones that we got printed in black and white. So we got a bunch of them printed and put up in the house. So we had, like, the one you're talking about is, like, is blown up, like...
I think the one
huge.
I saw in particular, weren't you guys, like, in a pyramid and y'all had, like, Santa hats on?
Yeah, so we drew those
funny.
Santa hats, but that photo we got blown up, like the size of that.
That's
and
hilarious.
It's up in our kitchen right now, yeah. I'll send you a photo.
That's the thing I love about being a creative and hanging out with creative people. Is like, there's just always stuff going on. There's action happening. There's ideas flowing around.
Everyone's a little bit childish, which I say in the most endearing way possible.
Absolutely.
That's when you asked me the question earlier, like, things that I like about the industry, and I was talking about the collaboration. Like, that's a lot of it. Just working with the people. Everyone's got an interesting story. Everyone's a bit of a goof. No one's really grown up.
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of, like, if you're a writer, like somebody that writes novels, like, a lot of times you would spend a lot of time sequestered on your own because you need to focus, you need to be in that world. But when you're doing collaborative things like plays or film production or even being in bands, right? Because the band environment is also a lot of collaboration as well. It's such a great kind of give and take, a lot of camaraderie. Mm-hmm. The only thing is with the creative fields is the lifestyle is a bit different. It's not a typical 9 to 5. Your social life, unless of course you're with someone who's in the industry, it can be a little tough.
It can be tough for sure. I mean, like especially the older you get, there's a lot of drop off, at least in film, and I imagine in music as well. There's a lot of drop off as you get, into your 30s, of people that if they haven't, if their career hasn't gotten to where they want it to, then they'll pursue other things because they have other responsibilities. They start to get married, have kids.
Yeah. So how is it with like you and your group of friends? Because you've got 5 guys. A lot of them are in the creative field. Like, so how are you guys finding it? Because you're all getting
we're
a little older, more like grown up. So how is it easier to meet people because you meet them in the creative field, or is it more challenging?
It can be. So here's the way that I would describe it is. It's really helpful to date someone who's in the industry because they understand the weird hours. They understand that you might disappear for 2 weeks on a shoot. They understand all that. The problem is everybody in the creative industry is a bit of a psycho, myself included. So
I've heard that.
A lot of, by that I mean a lot of alternative personality. So
you need a certain type of vision. Totally. I'm using that word because I can't think of anything else. Because to be that type of creative, it's like the way your brain works is always kind of in that realm of like, oh, this would be kind of cool. This would be kind of cool.
Everyone's a bit crazy. Everyone's a bit dramatic. So,
yes.
So it's like when both people are like that in the relationship, it can be a little bit tricky. And again, like things like like it's like I'm not when I shot this web series, it's like I'm going to be dead to the world for 2 weeks on the shoot. Probably 2 weeks beforehand while we're prepping.
Yeah.
And, if you don't have someone who is either understanding of that or is in the industry so they get that that's the case, then that can be problematic.
So is that, so do most of the guys have people in the industry or?
Some of us do. Some of us, like my girlfriend, she's not in the industry.
Oh, she's not?
No.
Why did I think you met her through, I thought she did makeup or something. Maybe I'm confusing with someone.
That was I did date a girl who was a makeup artist.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. So how did you meet this young lady if she's not in the industry? Because with me, I work evenings, and that's a big thing. It is tough.
I'm not embarrassed to say it. I met her on Tinder.
Awesome. And we know we're not getting any kickbacks from Tinder, just so you know.
I met her on unnamed dating app.
Yeah.
I mean, dating's,
cool.
I don't know if you've done any of that, but they're a bit of a crapshoot. Yeah, they're for sure. There's a lot of negatives, but there can be positives, so it's just kind of a bit of a crapshoot.
So, but obviously she's into creative endeavors and understands that
for sure. I mean, she works for the Pharmacists Association right now, but she's also like back in classes. But
oh wow, that's like. But a little bit more 9 to 5.
Totally, completely 9 to 5. So that that has its challenges, but also its advantages.
But sometimes it's nice. It can be a nice compliment because, like you said, sometimes when you get 2 really creatives together, it's just too much.
And it's helpful. So she did a lot of theater.
Oh, okay.
So like she gets certain elements of it for sure.
Yeah.
It also it's also good. It can be good to date someone outside the industry because it calms you down in terms of like.
I agree.
There's a lot of.
I never used to want to date a dancer.
And there's, especially in film, like going out is a big part of it, and like rap parties and there's a lot of drinking and like which don't get me wrong, I enjoy, but it's a big part of like the networking aspect of it.
Yeah.
And if you're both having to do that all the time and dragging each other to stuff, it's
absolutely.
Like I'm gonna die.
Well, look at all these, the A-list. Celebrities that are constantly doing award shows. Like when it's award season, it's a good 3 months of like awards, after parties, dinners, another award show, after party, stylists, hair, And I know for young people, that sounds glamorous. It's actually a lot of work.
It's exhausting
because you have to prep for it. You have to plan ahead for it. You've got to. There's so much that goes into like just showing up and being fabulous.
Even during TIFF, like I've never had a film in TIFF, but I've had like networking things to go to.
Sure.
A lot of screenings.
It's the hustle, baby.
It's all like you're up all night at these after parties and stuff, and like that's just for me. So if both of us were having to do that and dragging each other to that, it's like I haven't slept in 2 weeks.
And no wonder, like relationships sometimes fall apart because people are just exhausted.
Yeah.
Right. But quick question: I didn't realize that people actually looked for someone to date on Tinder. Like I always thought it was like a quick hookup site.
I mean,
what do I know? But this is just what I heard.
A lot of guys approach it that way.
Okay. I wonder where they came up with the word Tinder.
I think it's because I think it's like you match with people. So like Match, Fire, Tinder. I think that's the connection.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Over my
I
head.
only knew that, I think, because somebody like posted it in like a.
Because like, okay, Match.com, for example, that makes sense.
Yeah. So from that, it's like, oh, you're matching with someone, so
Okay.
Matchfire.
So people can find somebody to date on Tinder. So
Yeah, I know a few people. I know a few people that have. I know there's other apps.
Sure.
Like Bumble that puts like kind of all the power in the women's hands.
Yeah, I've
you
heard
can't
about.
message them until they message you first.
Okay.
Even if like if you and I matched, I can't just out of the blue message you until you open the conversation. So you have a little bit more like control over the whole thing.
I don't get what the point of that is. Like, why
because
not
it's
just?
A lot of creeps. It's a lot of creeps.
Yeah, but if somebody were to contact me and I'm not interested, I just wouldn't respond. Like,
yeah,
just simple
which
as that.
is fair. But then they could also like, if it was a creep, they could also just send you pictures and stuff.
Oh.
Which, so there's guys.
What is it with guys?
That's the guys ruin everything. So
My brother says the same thing. He goes, and my brother's such a good guy, but he's the first one. He goes, Karen, I'm a guy. We're just creeps.
We ruin everything. We ruin everything.
There's something in that male gene that just goes a little can go a little on
I
that.
think it's just because most of history we just got to do whatever we wanted.
Yeah, it's just so weird, eh?
Yeah.
Wow. So okay, I'm so glad that we had a chance to, because now I have a little bit more of a clear picture into your creative.
Do you? Because I'm still confused by it.
Well, okay. So this is my takeaway. My takeaway is that you are a storyteller. And so you just look for different like creative ways to tell a story, and more through comedic type of elements.
It can be, yeah. I mean, I like,
you like performance art.
I like entertainment.
Yeah, entertainment.
So like from
I get that.
From wasting time online with dumb BS to to longer format stuff. I mean, like I've done some dramatic stuff. Comedy I think comes a little easier, but it's easier to do on the cheap.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot more of that in the early part of my career, just because it's if you're making a 5-minute short film, it's hard to do drama in 5 minutes really good. I mean, it's doable.
Fair enough. Yeah,
but you can make some people laugh in 5 minutes versus, at least the way my brain works is like I prefer telling like a more long form story if it's gonna be like in-depth character and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I haven't had as much opportunity to do that, but hopefully as we go here.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you ever need any extras, I am volunteering. Extras, voiceovers, you need somebody to just walk by, I'm there. I love that kind of stuff. I'd love to actually, maybe one time I'll come by when you're working in progress, and we can do a little something there. Totally. So look at this fabulous, it's looking like a groovy belt headband. I have to say though, Phil, like this is actually very consistent, which is
just flattering me.
No, honestly, this is challenging to do because in the beginning when you first learn, like so many times people have knots here and there, but a man of consistency. This tells us a lot about you, Phil. So I say let's wrap it up there. We've got more cookies to jump into here. So thank you so much. This has been awesome. Bam! So you heard it here on the Stitch Sessions. I want to thank Phillip for joining me today and telling us all about what he does in his creative process. And we're going to put a bunch of links down below to check out some of his stuff, which is Thunder Dungeon. Quick ask, where did the name come from?
We were thinking of names, and I can't remember how we came up with that, but it sounded appropriately stupid for a comedy website, so...
Excellent.
Kind of rolls off the tongue.
Thunderdungeon.com?
Yeah.
All right. Check out the stuff, and we will see you guys on the next Stitch Sessions. And don't forget, next week, I'm showing you what I'm making here. Take care, everybody. Bye.